Okay, is my screen visible? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. In the last class, we studied about hybrid vehicles and we saw various types of the hybrid vehicles. Now, we will move on to fully electric vehicles. So, in the name itself, you can understand that a fully electric vehicles do not use the conventional engine method. So, in hybrid and conventional engine methods, they use an IC engine, which is the internal combustion engine, as a powerhouse or a drive source for the movement of the vehicle. But in the case of a fully electric vehicle, it uses only electrical systems such as battery, motors, sensors, etc. for the running of the vehicle. Okay, and nowadays the most popular electric vehicle is the Tesla, made by Elon Musk company, and they utilize a fully electric vehicle for the propulsion of the car. And the propulsion is done on the basis of electric motors provided at maybe at each wheels, or two motors at different axles. It depends. Okay, maybe at four wheels it can use four motors, which will be highly undesirable because the load that has to be provided to the four motors will be very high. Rather, a design in which two motors are used at both axles, at the rear axle and also the front axle, and power is split up and sent to the shaft for the turning of the wheel. It consists of a battery, or maybe a solar panel. These are all electric vehicles. Okay, it can use three type of sources. One is solar energy by means of a solar collector or a solar panel provided on the roof, the bonnet, etc. So that is how a collector is placed. Then by means of a battery, which will be provided underneath the passenger driver's seats, and there will be a battery pack, or there will be using a fuel cell in the means of a nuclear reactor like fuel cell, which generates electricity by means of a highly combustion process occurring inside the uh, cell. Okay, by means of a fuel cell also. So in three methods, electricity is generated from the vehicle, and this is then transferred to the motors, which receives the power and convert into mechanical load. Here the mechanical load is nothing but the turning of the vehicle to propel the vehicle. Then it is not limited. EVs or electric vehicles are not limited to road and rail vehicles. So we have seen most commonly nowadays we have seen in road and rail. That is, in road we have seen electric vehicles, and in rail we have seen electric trains. That is, bullet trains, jet trains, etc. We have seen that uses magnetic levitations and cruises at a high speeds. Okay, these all we have seen that are the more common examples of electric vehicles, but it is also being used in surface and underwater vessels. Even electric aircrafts are present. Solar powered aircraft was also manufactured. So different types of electric medium, or electrically driven vehicles or automobiles are being researched and developed by various companies across the world. So an electric vehicle was first invented by Detroit Motors in the year 1914. So that was the first design that is shown in the picture right now. So it was the first design that was implemented by Detroit Motors in California. There they invented the first uh, electric vehicle, which is shown here, and the electric motor, the electric vehicle uses a single motor provided at its rear wheel, and the front wheel, the rear wheel drive was provided by means of a battery stored here, and the power was transferred to the motor here that will then propel the vehicle forward. Okay, this is a simple method. So you can see a long wire provided here. This is for the charging purposes they used, and this was they do not. This vehicle was easily demolished. Sorry, it was decommissioned because the battery was at the time a robust battery, not without much technology. So charging of that battery was very tedious. It was time consuming, and they did not have any regenerative braking methods or alternator methods to further charge the battery on road. So this was just for a simple purpose of running the vehicle. It was developed, and then it was stored in museums, and it was not commercially produced. It was just for a research purpose. It was just formed. So in an electric vehicle, you can see here, this is an electric vehicle schematic diagram. So how the things are arranged here. So you can see there is this traction motor. So this is a front wheel drive. You can give both motors. Here there is only single motor. So it is provided in the front axle. So this is the axle, and the axle shaft passes through the center of the motor. Then you can see a battery panel that is here. Okay, there is battery panel which is an equivalent of 400 laptop batteries. So that much power is being generated by this battery pack. It is nothing but so many cells, so many batteries. Okay, so many batteries connected here in series, and then these series batteries are connected each way in parallel. Okay, and this is then uh, supplied to the transmission unit, that is the uh, motor. Okay, so the battery pack commonly used nowadays is the lithium ion battery, replaced by the lead acid battery, because of its higher storage capacity and less reactiveness when compared with lead acid batteries. So lithium ion batteries are commonly used. So lithium ion batteries are nothing but that is used in the phones and etc. Phones, laptops, electrical. In electrical components, we are using lithium ion battery. So lithium ion battery is gaining popularity in the field of electric vehicles, and this battery pack is provided here underneath the driver and passenger seats, uh, and this supplies the power to the transmission unit in the motors. So this is completely used for traction. So it is called as traction battery pack. So what is traction? Traction is nothing but to push the vehicle or propel the vehicle forward. That is the only purpose of a traction battery pack, not using for any auxiliary methods such as for the headlights, the displays, onboard displays, the rear lamps, fog lamps, etc. So many other auxiliary systems are provided in the vehicle, but this battery pack is never used for that purposes. For that purposes, an auxiliary battery is provided here. Okay, as we have seen in the cars itself, auxiliary batteries are provided here. Then we are also providing a thermal cooling system so as to cool down the heat generated inside the motor due to continuous working. Okay, and there is a onboard controller, that is the computer inside, or it is the ECU or the microprocessor present inside the engine, and this heats up also during operation because it's an electrical component and it releases heat same as that of a laptop or a CPU of a computer, and this heat has to be cooled down, and for that purpose, a thermal cooling system, same as that of a radiator, is provided, but it is not a radiator function wherein we pour in water or a coolant inside, while it is a heat exchanger, and it is provided here for cooling the power electronics controller and also the motor in this regard. And you can see the charging port here. This is the charging port, and this charging port is facilitated with a super charging point, wherein it will within an hour or so, about half of the battery pack's voltage is being restored. So in such a way, supercharging facilities are provided, or a supercharging point is provided for faster charging of the electric vehicles. So you can see how it is being charged here. It can be either be provided at the front like this, the charging point, or in the fuel tank position of a conventional IC engine. So this is provided in that manner, and it is filling up. And you can see the motors provided here. There are two motors. Okay, two motors that is provided here, and it provides the wheels. And this is normal charging of the battery by means of an alternator itself. So a significant amount of charge is provided back to the battery, but not enough to completely charge the battery pack. So this is how the battery restoring is being done, and it is driven forward. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why EV vehicles are being preferred is that because of its zero emission capacity. So, IC engines generates many powerful pollutants, most commonly carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, that is HC, or the unburned petrol or diesel coming out is known as hydrocarbons. Then nitrous oxides, various nitrous oxides, such as nitric oxide, nitrous dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, such and such NOx emissions, that is known as nitrous oxides, are produced, and these are emitted into the atmosphere and harm the environment. While in the case of an electric vehicle, no such emissions are being released, and hence the uh, it is termed as a zero emission vehicle. But generation of electricity is always uh, producing emissions. Generation of electricity means by means of fuel reactors, or by means of um, generation of electricity at the thermal plants, etc., generates emissions. But rather than that, once we charge the vehicle, in terms of vehicle, it is zero emission vehicle. There is no such emissions coming out. But in today's world, the common problem that occurs in the EV vehicles is that the heating up of battery panel. The heating up of battery panel is a common issue that is being seen in today's electric vehicles. So the heating up of the battery panel results in the stoppage of the vehicle, and also even in some cases explosion of the battery pack, causing the car to burn itself. So that is one of the undesirable properties that is being seen in today's model. And also, when compared with the conventional IC engines, electric vehicles gives us more torque, but the distance or the range in which the electric vehicle travels is much lower when compared with IC engines. So IC engines, once we supply basic fuel, it can go rather more distance when compared with electric vehicles, which has a considerably lower distance range when compared with the IC engine. For that purposes, a supercharging point is provided so as to reduce the time needed for charging the battery, which does not or which is not needed in the case of a conventional IC engine, wherein the fuel can be filled much more efficiently and easily without any lossage of time, and that can't be done in electric vehicles. But researches are still going on, and in the future, maybe uh, fully electric vehicles will replace the conventional IC engines. So, some of the popular electric cars that are present in India today are Audi RS e-tron GT, which is the most expensive fully electric vehicle that is present at India. Then another one is an Audi e-tron GT, another type of uh, electric vehicle that is being that is being commercially sold in India. Then in Tata Tigor EV, it's an also an fully electric vehicle, Tata Tigor. Now, the most commonly seen electric vehicle here in Kerala and all, we can see Tata Nexon EV. These are all some of the EVs that are being produced in India. Then recently there was Hyundai Kona electric vehicles, but as I mentioned earlier, the battery pack heating up was most commonly seen in this variant. Hence, this was uh, they have been recalling these vehicles because of this heating problem, and still researches are being conducted for finding out the error in developed during this heating problem. The heating problem occurs on continuous driving of the vehicle. Okay, and the range when it goes beyond the range that the company has specified, the battery pack heating up is much greater on operation, and due to that, they have been recalling this electric vehicle. Next, another topic we are going to discuss today is Formula One engine technology. So, what is basically a Formula One car? It is a single seat, open cockpit, open wheel Formula racing car. Okay, it is a single seat, so only a driver is present in the Formula One open cockpit. So it is not completely sealed, and as in the case of a conventional vehicle, wherein we are sitting inside a closed space. The driver and the passengers are also present. Uh, in a two-wheel vehicle, it is also an open cockpit, so there is no we are not placed in a closed space while it is open into the atmosphere. So, in such a way, the Formula One car also is being designed. It is an open cockpit, then an open wheel. So, open wheel means in the sense that the wheels are placed outside the engine body or the vehicle body. So you can see the wheels are placed outside the body. But in the case of conventional vehicles that we are using, the vehicles are present inside the body. Okay, it is covered inside the body, not fully covered, but it is exposed. Still, it is present inside the body. It is not present outside the body. Okay, that is the difference between a Formula One car and a conventional car. And These also has substantial front and rear wings. So front and the rear wings are, these are wings. You can see the sides, and also there will be a big wing provided in the back. So I will explain later what is the purpose of the wing and why it is being positioned inside the vehicle. And there is an also engine positioned between the driver, intended to be used in competitions at Formula One racing events. So these are an engineering marvel vehicles. So so many engineers and workers are present for tuning and developing uh, efficient vehicles for this competitions or these racing events. So these vehicles are produced with wings and open wheel tires, dry weather tires provided for maximum power output and uh, maximum power output and higher speeds. So this is the purpose of a Formula One racing event. So you have to give more power and also develop much speed for the engine to, the vehicle to move forward for this racing event. So various regulations have been set during the course of this periods for many decades for this open wheel Formula One racings, because every engines has different amount of power outputs, and how this power is being used or how it is being transmitted to the wheels have been determined by um, governing uh, regulations that will be given to each of the company developers for producing such vehicles for the competitions. So, in the case of a chassis design of a Formula One car, the Formula One car has a carbon composite chassis design. That's a carbon composite chassis design. So, what is a carbon deposit composite? It is nothing but a carbon fiber is nothing but implementing a carbon on an aluminum alloy. Okay. So these carbon, in the sense, carbon is very light element, and when combining it with an alloy, it will provide higher strength and, and lightweight. That is the function of chassis design. So why do we need to make it lightweight? So in a Formula One car or in any cars, when the weight is being reduced, the vehicle can move at higher speeds very fastly. So when weight is increased, the load to be moved or the load to be propelled will be very high. So as the vehicle has to provide much power or it will consume much fuel. So for that purposes, we have to reduce the weight, and to reduce the weight, carbon composites are used. So one of the questions that will arise is that uh, various companies are there for Formula One racing, and each company produces a different type of vehicle. So what happens if on every car has different weight? So one of the company develops a much lighter weight vehicle, and another one that cannot meet up to that requirement. Then, if that occurs, there will be an imbalance in the or a, illegal type of racing will occur. For that purposes, the regulations have strictly stated that a minimum permissible weight of 740 kg should be included with driver and not fuel. Without a fuel, the vehicle should weigh 740 kilogram with driver included. Okay, and the cars are made with dry weather tires. So there are two types of tires: dry weather tires and wet weather tires. So these the purposes are simple. So dry weather tires can provide a much friction on the roads during dry weather, so as the vehicle can stay in contact with the wheels. But uh, when the circuit or the racetrack is filled with water, slipping of the tires is much common when using dry weather tires. So these are dry weather tires. You can see there is no grudge marks or nothing. It is a simple tire. But wet weather tires, there will be gaps in between. Okay, there will be sufficient gaps in between to provide sufficient friction, uh, on the tires so as the vehicle can move forward. Okay, so that are the two types of tires. Someone's mic is on. Please check. Unmute your mic. Sorry, mute your mic. Okay. Then, okay, a permissible weight of 740 kilogram is provided. So the engines in a Formula One vehicle are provided mostly at the rear end, and in some companies it is also in the forward end. So from the rear end, the engine is directly exposed. If you look at a Formula One vehicle, this is an engine of a Formula One vehicle, and you can see here itself the engine is provided at the back. So another important point to be noticed is that they do not have any exhaust system, such as in an exhaust system, you have an exhaust manifold. From the exhaust manifold, we will have exhaust tailpipes. From the exhaust tailpipe, it goes to a catalytic converter and then to the silencer or the muffler that is provided at the rear end of the vehicle. Such a design is not provided in a Formula One vehicle. So the problem or the most common problem that occurs during this process is that when the distance of the pipe increases and if there is a vent or something present in a pipe like that, the exhaust gas will try to move back into the cylinder. So that is one of the problems that occurs when we are providing a block, or what happens if you block the passage of the exhaust pipe or the tail pipe. So exhaust falls back into the cylinder and stalls the engine. It will not then run forward because of the exhaust that is present inside the excess exhaust that is present inside the engine. So to avoid such a process and to provide the exhaust directly to the atmosphere, engines are provided, sorry, F1 engines are provided with an exhaust manifold and a small pipe that is almost very small in length, and it is directly exposed to the atmosphere. So what happens is that in the case of conventional cars which we are using today, we will see that the since we are using a muffler, the catalytic converter, such and such, the sound or the noise that is developed on exit of the exhaust gas will be much less. But in a Formula One car, because of the high velocity and high pressure exhaust being exited through this small pipe, the exhaust gas pressure is very high, and when it comes to the atmosphere, it will make a blowing sound or a blowing up sound, an explosion sound. Okay, and that is why a Formula One car develops much noise. So they have made that noise. They have told that the noise is not a problem because they have to develop much power. So there must not be any backlag occurring due to the exhaust, and the engine has to provide maximum power. The So that is the purpose of designing the vehicle in such a way. And open wheel drives provide much control and speeds rather than a closed uh, closed wheel drive. So the engines used in nowadays for Formula One cars is a 2.4 liter V6 engine. So what is a V6 is nothing but it is in the shape of a V. The engine will be engine piston cylinder arrangement will be in the shape of a V with three cylinders at one end and three cylinders at the other end. So there will be six cylinders. So that is what is meant by V6. And then 2.4 liter is that it the fuel air ratio, that is what is known as, it consumes 2.4 liter to provide one power stroke. Okay, 2.4 liter to provide one power stroke. That is in the terms of air and fuel. So it is not that you are using completely fuel. It is not 2.4 liter of fuel. Rather, it is the ratio of air and fuel that is consumed by this engine. But in this was done recently itself. So it will be in about. So it is introduced in 2014 and will remain till 2025. Okay, it was the normally V8 engines were used before 2014. So V8 in the sense 8 cylinders and a V engine, and it develops powers only up to 7,000 to 8,000 bhp. The bhp is nothing but the brake horsepower or the power generated by the engine. Uh, so this is not 1,000, this is 10,000. Okay, there is a small error. Okay. So it was releasing up to 7,000 to 8,000 only, and a higher engine was introduced. And also, this V8 engines used 3 liter or more consumption of fuel were observed in V8. So they were also normally aspirated. So normally aspirated is naturally aspirated V8 engines. So they were using conventional engines itself, but this 2.4 V6 engine uses a turbocharged hybrid electric. So there will be a hybrid electric. That means it has an IC engine and also an electric motor for its running, and it is also turbocharged. Turbocharged in the sense it uses exhaust gas exhaust gas to provide the turbine movement and produces much air into the engine. So providing much air into the engine gives us more oxygen inside the cylinder and better combustion of the engines, thereby producing higher power. Okay, this is how the engines in a Formula One car are produced. The rest of the class we will look at in the next session. Next, I will take the attendance.